Hi, my name is Nick Mercer, and my city report is on the Oak Park, Michigan City Council. The City Council consists of 5 people: Mayor Marion McClellan, Mayor Pro Tem Solomon Radner, Council members Carolyn Burns, Ken Rich, and Regina Weiss. The current council was elected in November of 2017 and took office the following January. The next council election will be in 2021, except for the mayor, who only holds 2-year terms. The main duties and responsibilities of the council is to oversee and approve the actions of all other city departments below them, including Parks and Rec, Public Safety, and so on. Listening and responding to community concerns and issues, and approving city-funded projects and budgets is also another responsibility. Additional responsibilities include appointing a city manager and a city attorney, Eric Turngate and Ebony Duff, respectively. The council meeting I attended was back on September 4th of this year. Most meetings are run in a pretty typical fashion, with the city clerk doing a roll call of the council board and then the mayor giving the audience a quick rundown of the meeting's agenda. The rundown includes approving the previous week's meeting minutes from all other departments of the city, as well as the city councils. Items to be discussed, intro of special guest, budget and licensing approval, and lastly the call to the audience were also included in the rundown of the agenda. The meeting I attended, as with most public meetings, is centered around public-funded projects as well as a call to the audience. This week there was one special guest from the Office of Oakland County who gave a quick summary of goals the county has for the next calendar year, including projects, budgets, and the impact of each on taxpayers. The majority of the meeting was focused around ongoing and future city-funded projects. Over half of the projects currently in Oak Park are road construction projects, which the city desperately needs as many roads have been crumbling and falling apart in recent years. The road construction projects were approved unanimously by the council, to no opposition from the general public. The total amount of the road projects amounts to just over $500,000. The discussion that occurred in the meeting on the road projects was simply to give status updates on them and approve a couple payment applications to the contractors. The budget for the district court building renovation was also approved unanimously by the board in this meeting. The project itself is pretty controversial within the city and community and will be discussed later in the presentation. The last city project that was discussed was from the city manager, who presented a youth assistant program to the board that he would like to see reinstated into the community. The program, which stalled out over a year ago due to lack of leadership and membership, has gained more community interest lately, and residents would like to see it make a comeback. The program itself will provide youths, particularly the less fortunate, with after-school activities to help kids stay active and out of trouble. The board unanimously approved the reinstatement of the program starting in 2019, pending a minimum number of participants and leaders. The city manager also stated that previous management and leaders can still participate in the program, but new members would be preferred to ensure its ongoing success. Constraints and issues that I picked up on during the call to the audience include taxes, unresponsiveness of city officials to its residents, misuse of public funding, and layoffs and strikes of public workers and teachers. Taxes are an issue in particular because delinquency in payment is becoming more common in the city, which affects all aspects of the community. The issue of the unresponsiveness is concerning as well because one of the duties of city government is to listen to the community and respond to citizens' concerns. One woman in particularly, as will be discussed later, was trying to get in contact with the city for a number of months about illegally parked cars in front of her house. Another resident was also trying to get in contact with the city for a number of months about changes to his property taxes that he had a concern about. Once again, he was never answered until this meeting. Public funding and the misuse thereof is another concerning issue and can also be an underlying issue for the last constraint of public worker layoffs as their salaries come from public funding. When analyzing the City Council's approach in dealing with the constraints, I will begin with the tax issue. As stated earlier, tax dodging and foreclosures are becoming more common in Oak Park. In response to the issue, the City Council passed a new law that states if a resident has not paid their property taxes for 2 or more years, the city has the right to evict that person and their family from their residence. While this is an adequate solution to tax delinquency, it begins to contribute to a more concerning issue, that being homelessness. I do understand where the city is coming from in their decision, however, because tax delinquency does also contribute to the decline of the public good. The analysis of the city's unresponsiveness is pretty straightforward in my opinion. City officials should respond to residents' concerns in a timely and professional manner. One woman had been trying to get in contact with the city manager for months about people parking illegally in front of her house without a single response or action taken from the city. The man who was trying to discuss the property taxes was able to finally discuss things with the city attorney after the meeting in question, which is far too long in my opinion after his initial contact was made with the city. Both residents, fortunately, were able to get their issues resolved at this meeting. When the council responded to a number of citizens who expressed concerns over improper funding, they claimed that all of the projects and associated budgets were necessary to make the city better as a whole. I would agree with all of the projects except for the court building renovation, as most people have. The court building, despite being a slightly older building, is still in good shape and definitely does not need to be renovated anytime soon. The almost $200,000 budget of the project could have been used for public workers' salaries, which leads into my last analysis of layoffs and strikes. Several high school teachers were on strike over summer, trying to get more pay. The council has done as much as they can for the teachers, however, because the city is not the ones who determine their salaries. Rather, the state is responsible for that. The city has taken action against the state to help raise their workers' salaries, and the teachers are no longer on strike and are actually back working now. In regards to the layoffs of public workers, though, the city is directly responsible for the $200,000 budget for the court building is a large reason why some of these workers have been laid off. The $200,000 budget could have easily paid for at least 3 or 4 of the workers' salaries, so the city is definitely at fault here. On the other hand, though, public safety is still the highest expenditure for the city at nearly 50% of all its budget for the calendar year. The city is doing all they can to help these workers maintain their jobs, but sometimes what they do is not enough. In conclusion, the City Council in Oak Park has done an adequate job at trying to make the city a better place, but they do need to listen and respond to community concerns a lot better than they are currently. Budgeting also needs to be taken into consideration and thought out much better than it is currently. Aside from these two things, the council has been effective in performing their duties and is most likely going to be re-elected in the next upcoming election. Thank you for listening.